Hello everyone. We'll be starting in the next 2-3 minutes. I'm facing some issues at my end, so sorry for the delay. Just give me 2-3 more minutes. Hi everyone. I hope you can see me and hear me well.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Um, Jamshed is not able to hear me. What about others? Lena, can you hear me?
Yes, doctor, I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Ghazi, I think I'll have to write it in the chat box. You need to check your audio settings. Okay. Okay. Before we start, I wanted all of you to give me an idea about your research topic and your progress. Then we will be picking up the important aspects of pilot study, which is the agenda for today. Okay.
Yeah, I can start, doctor.
Sure.
So my name is Lina Mahmasani,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm currently in my last specialty course
Okay.
for the doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
My topic revolves around the decline of the Arabic language in a globalized world.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already written my research questions and started with the literature review as we, evolved with other courses because they were requesting us to do some research work with our thesis.
Mm-hmm.
I've also wrote the research method part. I want to
Okay.
tackle more the quantitative aspect of it, so I'm planning to do some interviews.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't involve any students. It will involve only like administratives, teachers, parents, Arabic coordinators, or language directors in this
Mm-hmm.
matter.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. So that means now you are at the right stage of your pilot study. It will help you in improvisation of your instrument, which you
Yeah.
would be using.
Yeah.
Right. Wonderful. Great. Shweta, think you had also switched on your camera briefly, so I have some trust in you that you can talk.
Yes, sorry, yes, because I just landed in the airport, sir. I'm still
Okay.
Yeah.
No
So
worries.
sorry.
We'll
Yes.
start with Fayaz then. Yeah,
Yes.
Fayaz has
Yes.
raised his
Please give
hand.
me a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Fayaz.
Hi, my name is Fayaz, and I'm living in the Northwest Arctic region. So it's like a very far end of the north, like Arctic Circle.
Oh, wow.
So
Is this
I
real?
have,
Is your background real in terms of the
yeah,
aurora?
we see these northern lights very, like it's like a background, but it's not the real one. It's a virtual background, right?
Right.
Yeah, so my research topic is applying new technologies like 6G, AI, machine
Hmm.
learning algorithm into a teaching environment. So I
Hmm.
work for Government of Canada,
Okay.
and we are administering 15 schools that are in remote communities. So
Hmm.
the communities are so small. So like one of the community has only 40 residents, but we are
Hmm.
still running the school. The only way of commuting there is by plane, by air.
Okay.
And sometimes, like most of the time, the weather is very challenging.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I have published one of my work in a national level conference. It's a
Oh,
peer-reviewed
wonderful.
conference.
Hmm.
And so regarding my research, I have
Hmm.
formalized my questions and I've distributed amongst administrator, teachers, and stakeholders.
Hmm.
So I got the feedback from them.
Hmm.
The other challenge we face is that in these areas, we are restricted to do the research.
Hmm.
So I have to obtain a license every year. So last year I obtained a license for my research.
Hmm.
So this year I am going through an ethics review. So there is
Okay.
an Arctic Research Institute
Hmm.
that foresee any of the research activities. So currently my work has been reviewed by my proposal has been reviewed by ethics review board.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that is the other part. The most difficult part is to get consent from the local committee members, because
Right.
without their consent, I cannot proceed. So it took me 3 months to
Hmm.
get that consent because I have to travel to the
Right.
community and then talk to their leaders, and then so
Hmm.
fortunately two of their leaders have countersigned my research proposal.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we are waiting. So the other requirement is that to obtain IRC from the university, I from
Hmm.
Edgewood. So I will get that in April.
Right.
Yeah. So after that, there will be a. I have multiple sessions with the ethics review board, probably
Hmm.
4 or 5. So
Hmm.
every time they draw a new red line for me to cross, right? So every time. So right now I have to just review their comments and then provide them the IRC.
Got it. No, but the interesting part for us is that because of so many rounds of iterations and approvals that you need from many people, this entire experience is very wholesome, right? So it might be, you might be feeling a little troubled right now because of a lot of things happening. But towards the end of the program, when you will complete it, you'll realize the kind of learning. It's quite exhaustive. I really appreciate the kind of action research that you are doing. Great. Ghazi, not sure whether you are still able to hear me.
Hi, Dr. Mini. I can hear you.
All right, wonderful. How is your progress?
I missed the first part of your questions because I couldn't hear anything. So, what is it that you'd like to
I
know?
wanted to understand what is your research area and how has been your progress? Where are you you know, in terms of
Ah,
the
okay.
milestones? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm looking actually within my own school context.
Mm-hmm.
So my research subjects are basically my own school
Mm-hmm.
students. Okay, we've got a
Mm-hmm.
body of around 600 students, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically wanting to look at how the intrinsic motivation of students,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
is affected by the student perception of autonomy support. So I'm trying to establish a link between those two things and just investigate the relationship between them. So I have already drafted my methodology of how I would do it because the sample size is quite small. It's not exhaustive. There's not a lot of students that would make it thorough enough. It was most likely going to be a mixed method design, where I will look at the quantitative area and have them do questionnaires, two different ones, which are well established on a Likert scale, and then move to a more qualitative via actually interviews by a third person entity to sort of, I would say, thicken up the study itself. So I have all the elements ready, but I think I just want to touch upon what Mr. Fayaz just said. I don't know the process of how I'm supposed to carry this out. I don't know who I'm supposed to contact for the IOB, from Edgewood. I mean, I feel like I'm behind now all of a sudden since that's been mentioned. So what do I do in this case?
Yeah, you will be having a session related to it. See, IRB is a typical process of taking ethical approvals from the
Mm,
university. So, and
mm,
IRB approval is mandatory before you go ahead and start collecting your data, right?
mhm,
So, before that, you need to do the CT training.
mm,
I'm not sure whether you have got the link for it. You will be getting it, or you can ask the Edgewood administrators to provide you with it. Okay.
mm,
So, through that, you will come to know this entire process. The main reason why we do this ethical approval is to ensure that the university is not under any risk of, you know, disintegrity. When you are collecting
mhm,
data, it might be possible that either your instrument is not capable of ensuring, consent, or probably,
mhm.
the people from whom you are collecting data are the vulnerable sections of the society. Or there is, in case of scientific research, there might be some damage that can happen to the environment or communities or whatever. Typically,
Okay.
when it comes to education, for example, yesterday I was talking to another group where a lady is doing a research on, learning. She's trying to research the effectiveness of a particular learning pedagogy on disabled children. Now, when it comes to disabled children, if she's collecting data from them, she has to have the consent of the parents. And the process of collecting data from this vulnerable section, which cannot really decide for itself, which doesn't
Mhm.
know the meaning of consent, is not easy, right?
Yeah.
Imagine a 7, 8-year-old children. How will you understand, in case you're talking to them? So, it has to be, every step of the research has to be thoroughly checked and approved by the board to ensure that in this process no harm was done to anybody, nobody's interest was ignored, or you can say there is no conflict of interest. All those things have to be checked. That's the purpose of ethical approval through IRB. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think, okay, Fayaz, it is, I think CT training is what I know of. I am also supposed to do it, and I am yet to receive the link, Fayaz. Okay.
Yeah, on the CT training, I believe I saw in our previous module, and this was
Mm-hmm.
something that we had to do. It wasn't part of the graded module, but it was written there
Yes,
somewhere.
yes, yes.
And yeah, but I forgot which module it is now. So I guess
Mhm.
we'll need some support there.
Yes, yes. Most of the students have already completed it for us. Yesterday also, there was a different group which was saying that we have completed it. So that's a prerequisite, is what I have come to know through Edgewood.
Yes, I remember. I think I remember two modules before we had one training, which was kind of we had to go to the other portal and complete it, and we had to upload the certificate that we
Yes,
have
yes.
completed the training. Okay.
Right. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
If you have done it, most of you would have done it because I am newly onboarded to Edgewood. I am also supposed to do it.
Yes.
Right. Shweta or Fayaz,
Yes.
someone can please send Ghazi the link about it. So probably he can do
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Yes, I'll share. I'll share. It was, yes. I'll share the what it was about, and I think Edward had given a portal, and we had to go
Mhm.
to that portal to complete
Right,
Okay.
right. I'm yet to receive my credentials for that. So
that.
if I would have had, I would have given you already, Ghazi. But yeah, there will be a session related to it as well. Okay. All right. So now Ghazi told me that he's using a mixed method research. Now, my idea is that whenever you are using mixed methods, the process gets a little elongated. And when it comes to pilot study, a lot of people get confused. Okay. Should I do a pilot study of every method of mine? Then it becomes long enough. Yes, Fayaz, you
Yeah,
have raised.
regarding the CT training, I think Edgewood has to approve it because the link was sent after approval. So when you go and on the website and select Edgewood,
Mm-hmm,
so it has to be the link is like a personalized
mm-hmm,
approved link. I
mm-hmm.
think it might not be working for everyone. So I think
Yeah, yeah.
what Master Ravi
They
is
have not
saying,
sent me my personalized link yet, so that's what I'm saying. I'm yet to do
yeah.
it.
So the other thing is that I'm also using a mixed method.
Mm-hmm,
Uh, but like you said, that it's difficult because I'm also involving children
mm-hmm,
on the secondary side of the school. So we have
mm-hmm,
1,500 students
mm-hmm,
in eight community schools.
mm-hmm.
So, and the other challenge is that they also want to create a poster and everything in their local language. So I don't know the local language because there are different, like 6 or 7 different languages that are used in these areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not find any grammar or anything that can help me. Can you advise me on that?
Okay. I am not, you are based out of Canada, right? So can you let me know which particular language are spoken there?
One is called Gwich'in language. One is
Mm-hmm,
called Eliaute language.
mm-hmm,
These are the two main languages, but they are actually, I know, I've done some research. There are
mm-hmm.
6 or 7, including English and French.
See, when it comes to English and French, translation can be done easily through AI, but I cannot really guarantee about the other local dialects or languages, which probably are not really, you know, in the systems. Just give me a moment. Yeah, sorry. So, in terms of language, Ghazi, I think you'll have to take the help of some interpreter to get the translation done. I am not really sure how to go ahead and do that. But then you would need it even at the time of the IRB approvals here, right? At Edgewood also, because there is a possibility that people at Edgewood also don't know the language, right? They have to check it in both the languages. Um, yeah, you can continue talking. There's no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I have to engage some elders because they know the language. So what I will do, I will
Mm-hmm.
share my poster. So
Mm-hmm.
because there's one requirement is to give some monetary compensation. So I have advised the community members that anyone who is becoming a part of the research,
Mm-hmm.
research
Mm-hmm.
activity, I will be providing them $30 an hour because I got some
Mm-hmm.
funding from our research group.
Okay.
So probably I would hire, I would engage some elders
Mm-hmm.
and give them the poster, and then they can translate it, and I can pay them like $30. So I think
Right,
it will
right.
not be, it not be, it not, it's a one-page document. So
Mm-hmm.
it will only be taking like half an hour or maybe 40 minutes to translate.
Okay, if you can afford to do that, but that also needs to be disclosed, in your IRB that you are using, or any part of this is going to be a paid exercise.
Yeah, so everything is documented.
Mm-hmm.
I am working with Arctic Research Institute, so
Mm-hmm.
everything I'm doing is documented and the community and all the stakeholders are aware of that.
But this is very exciting. Yeah, I wish I could be a part of it somehow. Anyway, so yes, these are the kind of issues, I'm so happy to see that we have, the kind of issues that one can face while doing pilot study as well as before the IRB. Now, in Fayaz's case, he gets a lesser opportunity to do a pilot study because in case he has to travel again and again to that particular place, it might not be really feasible. So he might have to deep dive into the real research and probably do a small pilot there itself for the sake of his satisfaction. And the pilot study can be better done on the secondary data or, probably something which is happening at the stakeholders level where he is, right? Yes, Lena.
If you may allow me just to ask a question to clarify things. So now
Yeah.
in our current course, there's nothing highlighted on this pilot study. Like we received a separate email with the groups, and we
Mm-hmm.
were allocated group 5, which we
Mm-hmm.
are right now doing. So
Mm-hmm.
is there any deadline that we need to proceed with this pilot study?
I'm not very sure about it because, for me being a research guide, I get the topics that I'm supposed to do. But
Yeah.
in terms of your evaluation and grading, I think I'm not the right person. I can try to find
Because
out and let you
it wasn't like an assignment stated in this current course that we're
know.
taking.
Okay.
Usually, every single part related to the big research that we're doing it's not graded, but
Mm-hmm.
has been stated in the course that now we need to submit the literature review, etc. So this is my question there. So for
Mm-hmm.
now, for the pilot study, what I actually can do is just formulate the questions of my interview and go ahead and interview, let's say 2 or 3 people, but I cannot include them in my research. Is that correct?
इंटरनेट चला गया क्या?
I don't know. I
Sorry.
don't know if my
I
internet
lost my
connection.
internet. Sorry, I was talking
You
in my
lost
own
yours. Okay.
language.
Okay, okay.
Internet chala gaya.
Okay.
Sorry for
No
that.
worries. So, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please. You were
Yes.
saying that for your pilot study, you are going to just do something. What exactly?
Yeah, I was asking if I'm supposed to write formulate the questions for my interviews and then
Hmm.
go ahead and interview, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2
Yes,
candidates,
yes,
and then
yes.
I cannot include those in my actual research. Is that correct?
Ideally, yes. You
Yeah,
cannot use them
because I
for
need
your
to wait
actual.
for the IRB approval
Yes,
before that. Right? Okay.
right, right. So, yes, when it comes to qualitative research, in case you have multiple stakeholders to go ahead and take interview, it is advisable to take one interview for each of the stakeholders, because that way you will be able to iron out. It's, pilot study is nothing but, kind of a trailer. And if you are going to watch a trailer, it should have every element of how the movie started and where it began. You should get an essence of what you are doing, right? Fayaz.
Yeah, so you were saying that you were excited to be part of the study. So what I will do, I
Mm-hmm.
can share the forms, the proposal when it is finalized. So that will give you an idea how I'm working through the challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So it has comments from all the board members, like the board director, board members, ethical review members, something
Mm-hmm.
like. So it's going on for like 3, 4 months. The
Wonderful.
most challenging was the consent from the elders. The consent document is classified. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
disclose it. The other documents like the poster,
Mm-hmm.
questionnaire, and all the form contents like a proposal,
Mm-hmm.
everything can be shared with you.
Wonderful. I put in my email, Edgewood email here. If you can share it, that would. I think you had presented a paper as well. So if there is something which you can share it related to it, I would be happy to read that also.
So there are two, like one research paper was published last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I will share the link of that. So it's a PDF presentation,
Mm-hmm.
and with all the like mathematical model and all the data.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is submitted, and I will be able to present in June. So we
Okay.
have Memorial University in Newfoundland. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a yearly event.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be going there to present my work to the peers. So it basically talks about the machine learning algorithms that
Mm-hmm.
can use to optimize the local languages and learning modules, things like that.
Good, good. Pretty interesting. Yes, Shweta, you're going to say
Ye-
something.
Yes, I'm ready now. I can talk.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
yeah, I just found a place in the airport so I can talk.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'm Shweta, and I'm actually independent consulting. I've been consulting Tibet or CBT
Mm-hmm.
over last 20 years, and mostly as an independent consultant, I take a projects in the most of the time developing countries, and I work with the donors like GIZ, United Nations or ILO. So for this actually project, I had prepared the project that I wanted to do to tap on my previous project in Bangladesh, where
Mm-hmm.
actually I helped the Tibet to build the green skills. So originally, I wanted to actually help the trained teachers there to enable with them some AI skills, and I wanted to see before and after, especially how can they actually utilize. Emerging technology to manage their internal midterm exams, and we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about a class of 150, and one
Mm-hmm.
teacher is actually at one managing three classes, so it's almost like 400, and they're still having those traditional pencil and paper exams. And I was thinking about how can I help them, and utilizing some tools for them for a question banks as well as for
Mm-hmm.
execution and the report listing that will help them with the midterm exams. So this was my proposal, and I had
Mm-hmm.
given, but because since it was under the project, have not got approval, and then with the government things, I am kind of that now they have a new government, but the project proposal is going to take time. Until now, I haven't got any approval from them that I can go ahead with this project. And without the government project approval, it would be difficult for me, and that's where now I'm stuck. Actually, kind of I was all along was preparing for this topic, preparing my literature review, everything pertaining to
Mm-hmm.
that. And I believe that now, as of today, I have no other topic to go to, and I may have to start from scratch, something different,
Um,
because
See,
yeah.
what I would suggest is that, the core of it need not be changed, but the way
Okay.
you are collecting data, or, if you can change some aspect of it in terms of being in the same domain, but asking a different research question, which probably does not require that much of, approvals, is something that you can start with. You can do
So
something qualitative, you can do something with respect to the already existing systems, and
okay.
give a comparative analysis of how, the AI enabled evaluation has helped. So you can do a qualitative survey among the teachers and the administrators and ask them about the issues that they are facing, the current infrastructure that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and you can do kind of a feasibility study. You can do that. Uh,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
In case it is already done, then probably you will have to change it. But then, you can look at some of the models like the technology adoption model, or there is something called as the UTAUT model, which is Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, and try to understand that, okay, even if this AI related models are being used, how how much trust will it gain in terms of teachers trusting it for
Mm.
For evaluation. For example, even if AI is checking some assignment for me, I might not be very confident around how to differentiate between two students, right? Uh, because, as a teacher, many a times I look at the effort as well. I look at the
Correct.
incremental growth of the student as well. It's not always very objective, right? When it comes to the objective questions, I know what is the answer. But when it comes to subjective questions, I have to look at the layers, whether the AI is capable of deciphering the layers. In certain subjects, for STEM subjects, it could be possible. For subjects like liberal arts, it could not be. Right? So you
Yes.
can do kind of subject-wise comparison. You can, look at what are the enablers, what are the disablers of it. I mean, try to remain in the same um, domain, but try to
Mhm.
do a research on something for which you do not need a lot of approvals as such. So instead
So
of an
I have a
action
question.
research, yeah.
Action, no. So what is this that in terms of, because if I have a direct approval of that college particularly,
Mm-hmm.
because most of the time if it is a government college, government government institutions, they have to actually go to their department, their Ministry of Education, to get an approval that they are going to do, and that is what so far I've been waiting for. So if I'm only having an approval, so I want to know, like in the IRB, if I have a principal approval to conduct this research in their institution,
Mm.
uh, do you think it is enough for IRB, or I need to have that government level approval for this, or at a school level approval that should be suffice in terms of uh, using it for
See,
action research?
mm, the process
Would that
might
be?
take longer. The process might take longer. It depends upon the authenticity level, right?
Hmm.
So, they might ask you more.
Okay, I that's the reason. Yeah, that's the reason, because even if I'm going for that, I still have to go through the route of taking permission. Yes, even if I'm talking about feasibility study, I still need to have a contact with the teachers, and it means when I'm interviewing the teachers, I still need to take permission, and I still need to have a proper approval for IRP.
Not really if you're using your own contacts and you are not really taking the name of the school or name of the teacher,
Okay.
then probably these are not going to create problems unless, there is a chance of some confidential data coming out.
No, there is no chance of any confidentiality. It's basically we wanted to know how can I help, Tibet institutions which lack the resources, and
Mm-hmm.
how can we can help, and the huge classes. How can we actually help reduce the burden of teachers using the enabling tools? I mean, that is what I wanted to check, and I
Yeah.
wanted to do it through an action research where I actually implement a small scale implementation and see the real change, and we'll see whether is it really affected them and how it has helped them
Mm-hmm. Right. I
in
don't
terms of
know. I'm not
monetary.
at all questioning the intent. It's just that the process might take a little more time. Yeah. Even in India,
Yes,
right now we have the class 10th board exams which are being checked,
correct. Yes, yes, I
digitally.
know
And
that.
now, yeah,
Yeah,
now this data is going to be used to train the models so that later on
exactly.
the AI models can check it and the effort of the teachers can come down. That's the reason. So what is happening through this process? While doing a digital paper checking, the entire data is being put it in the LLM models. The LLM will be trained, and the trained LLM
Yes,
later can be used to make agents which can check,
correct. Yes,
right?
correct.
So, it will take time. It's not something that can be done at a small level. So, let's see how
Okay.
it comes up. So I would suggest you look at some other dimension of it. You can look at technology acceptance related dimension. You can look at the challenges, issues that are coming in. You can look at the infrastructural requirements that would be necessary before you start. You can look at case studies of how, other countries or other businesses have used to manage the repetitive task and, how can it
Okay.
be made more accurate? Think about something else which is around it, where probably you do not need to take directly the data.
Okay. So I have a question. I think you've given me a good idea. So if I do a feasibility study,
Mm-hmm.
In terms of if I check, like before even doing, I think having a action research on a feasibility study, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe doing it, implementing, and that can be a later convert to a proposal for them to implement in future or something.
Mm.
That feasibility study, it can be done independently, selecting some teachers and trainers and interview them,
Yes, you
and
can do that. Then you'll have to make some sample answer sheets, see how it is being checked, and do an entire thing at a micro level. It will be more of an experimental research then.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so experimental research, you suggest that might be a good idea for me to tap on.
I would still suggest go qualitative. Go for something where you do not actually need things, right? As you get permission, you apply your knowledge and your publications to go and do action research.
Okay,
Because
understand.
even for doing these experiments, you might need permission, right? Especially if you are taking the Bangladesh uh, sample, right? I don't know how
Yes.
much access. You are an Indian citizen, I hope.
Yes, I'm based in Singapore, so yeah, but because I mean, I'm like in Singapore for last 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is the base. So, yeah, because earlier I had done one project in Lebanon, but right now with the current condition, it is not possible for
Mm-hmm.
me to have that thing. So I was using, since my last big project was in there. I was thinking I can utilize it. I do have a backup of Cambodia, but then it is not, the size is not enough for me to actually analyze the qualitative. So this is some constraint I will have. But I just wanted to know, like for IRB, what kind of in terms of like if I need to collect data, do what
Mm-hmm.
kind of documents and evidence they required?
They will look at what your instrument is. How are you collecting the data? So your research collection
Okay.
instrument, whether you have all the necessary permissions which are required for collection of, data. So
Mm-hmm.
these are the main things. And whether, any of your, target population from whom you are collecting data is something which is a vulnerable section, right?
Okay, okay, sure. So let me explore. I think you've given me an idea, so I can explore something which is possible within this qualitative in nature, and maybe some feasibility. Uh,
Yeah,
like, yeah,
something where, you're not doing it at a very large scale where you need permissions from very higher ups.
correct. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
Okay. All right. I need to cover the agenda also today, but good discussion. Right. Okay. I hope you are able to see my presentation. The screen is visible, right? So, the main purpose of pilot study is basically to test the feasibility, time, cost, and risk before you take up the full scale research. Now, in simple sense, if let us take the example of a simple questionnaire. Now, when we are making the questionnaire and we are writing the questions which we are going to be asking, they might be very explicit to us because we have done the study and we have written it in our own language. But the question is whether the person who is responding to the questionnaire is able to go ahead and understand the question in the same sense, right? Now, that is where it's important that you get the questionnaire filled from a small sample of people, take their feedback, and try to have an understanding whether they had any issues in understanding it, and whether there was any ambiguity in the questions. So how is it that the questions could be made simpler and easier to understand, right? So with the help of pilot study, once we have this information, we can refine the research design and identify any potential issues. And in order to give more evidence to our structure of taking data and doing research, it provides support to the dissertation because it gives an idea that, okay, you have followed a rigorous path and your main study is well structured, right? So mainly we do the pilot study to test our research instruments, it could be interview schedules, it could be surveys, mainly for their clarity, reliability, and validity. The question should be clear, the question should be unambiguous, and the question should be valid. And it also helps us in understanding whether we have used the right scale for asking the question also. Especially in case of questionnaires, for example, if I ask you a question that, do you like tea? What could be the options that I have to give you? They different ways of asking the same question. I can just give you a yes or no answer, right? So some people will say yes and some people will say no. But then there might be people who would say, I like tea only when it is cold. They are not able to answer it in between, right? So there is nothing in between yes or no. So when we have these categorical questions, the kind of analysis that will happen is going to be different. Now, if I want to understand, whether people in the West appreciate tea or coffee more, and if I'm asking the same question on a Likert scale, I can just say I like tea, and then people would say I'll give a scale of strongly agree to strongly disagree. And if somebody is rating it as agree, that means more or less the person likes tea, but it's not that tea is his absolute favorite, right? So here, having a scale is actually helping me compare the responses of different people and come to a, come and probably give it a quantitative touch. So I can further go ahead and do a regression analysis, try to find out determinants, probably why do people like tea, right? Which is not possible when I'm asking questions which are categorical. So, depending upon what my research question is, I have to ensure how my research questions have been asked have an alignment, right? Pilot study also reveals, logistical challenges in terms of recruitment and data collection issues, and you are able to detect the problems early on so that if there are certain changes required in your strategy, that can be brought in, and you can refine your research design, and eliminate, any kind of roadblocks. And you will also get an idea of how much time you would require, how much cost would be needed, what are the resource requirements necessary for it as you will go ahead and take a pilot study. That is the benefit of doing it. So when you are designing the pilot study, you first have to look at, who are the participants, what is the sample, and you should try to study the procedure in the pilot phase, and choose appropriate methods, whichever you are thinking, to propose. It could be surveys, interviews, observations, you know, it should be same as your proposed goals, but at a, smaller level, and try to test all possible instruments. I had a discussion with Dr. Suzanne, who said that we are trying to, tell people to follow one method rather than mixed method. But then if corroboration is necessary through mixed method, then you have to find out one primary, method of data collection. And that is something that is important to be done. Next is your instrument testing is happens through it, and logistical planning also happens through it. That's a repetition. And even at the time of doing pilot study, you have to pay attention to the ethical consideration. So take informed consent from researchers, you have to from the audience, and make them understand the purpose of the study, what are their rights, what are the potential risks. It should be very clearly written in your consent form. It's important that you maintain confidentiality of data and protect their, you know, uh, their identity. And for pilot study, IRB approval is not necessary in many cases, but in some cases, as I told you, when small children are involved, or when Aboriginal population is involved, or any sensitive group of people is involved, right? IRB approval might be necessary even, for the pilot study, right? And addressing these ethical issues through, thoroughly in the pilot study, actually will lay a good foundation for the main research project, because you will be aware about what could be the issues that you'll face in this entire process. So make sure that you are following the steps which are necessary. So when you are collecting the data and managing it for a pilot study, first start with choosing the appropriate tool, you know like the survey platform or qualitative analysis software to effectively gather the data, and maintain proper detailed notes and document to capture the contextual information. And you might face the technical problems and participant non-compliance, so that has to be managed well to smoothen out the data collection issues. And data management practices should be related to organizing the backup, making sure that the reliable outcome is coming in. So what I would advise is, if you are using a survey kind of a data and if you've got a large audience, for example, I am basically a management person. So and I do my research either on investors or students. You generally, and in India, we have access to a lot of people. We have a high population. So for us, the the universe is large. So when I'm doing a pilot study, I should be able to at least take 35, 40 samples for a quantitative research, and then see whether what I'm collecting is making sense or not to people, whether they are filling the form properly or not, whether they are inconsistency in the way they are filling it or they are understanding it, whether the language has got complexity. And then I should also see whether the kind of analysis that I'm thinking to apply will be applicable in this case or not, right? So doing a pilot study is like a full mock-up for you. That's how it helps. For qualitative, I would say, yeah, you have to go by at least 10 to 15% of what your actual sample size is, right? So when you are analyzing this data of pilot study, focus on patterns and issues, because pilot data analysis aims to identify patterns, inconsistencies, and areas for improvement. You are not really looking forward to final conclusion. So don't make your conclusion basis pilot study data, right? But yes, if it is something which is matching your hypothesis, you get some confidence, no doubt, right? It is important to assess if your instruments worked correctly and the responses are yielding meaningful insights or not. And as I told you, ambiguous questions, missing data, unexpected participant behavior during analysis is something that you can catch hold of. And basis the kind of response that you are getting, you can then refine your research design and process, right? So when you are evaluating your pilot study, assess the study effectiveness and reflect on what went well and what could have been better, especially in terms of sampling and data collection. For example, at the beginning, you might have thought about judgmental sampling, but then later on you felt that no, I think snowball sampling is going to work better in this. You can change it, right? And then say that which particular sampling method worked best for you. Incorporate participant feedback in terms of how the questions are, in being interpreted by them, and then refine it, right? So ultimately, yes, test the survey instruments, evaluate the interview protocols, especially when you're taking interviews, you might go with, say, a set of 10 questions that this is what you are going to ask. When you are interviewing, you realize that people are not really answering. So you have to prompt them or give them directional questions. So you have to be very careful in that process, that you are not trying to lead them in the direction that you want, but then you still have some control on where they are moving, right? So it is important to understand what kind of prompts and adjustments are required, right? And you will be able to identify the challenges which are there, and probably the right timelines can be prepared, right? Once you have done the pilot study, you have to of course, when you have done it, you have to report it somewhere in the thesis. You will put in the detailed methodology reporting in the methodology chapter. You will talk about the pilot study's purpose, design, procedures, how you went ahead and do the analysis, everything, and discuss what was learned and how the pilot informed adjustments in the main study design, right? And ethical considerations, transparency, what kind of learning came in, what kind of rigor you went through, it's important. And then when you are transitioning from your pilot study to finalize your protocols, and you need to identify the right sample size, update the IRB application, and ensure that all ethical aspects are in place so that you are able to generate more confidence in the research design. So, this is what, in terms of what I had to cover today uh, for the pilot study was. But when it comes to your individual pilot study, it's going to be different basis how you have gone ahead and prepared your initial research design. Yes, Fayaz.
Yeah, the biggest challenge I faced, like the questions raised, was how the data will be stored
Mm-hmm.
and how long will it remain on my machine, like a laptop or a computer, and when it should be destroyed, and
Typically, we
how.
say that, it should be with you for around 3 years at least.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, 3 years is 3 to 5 years are standard time that are used in Canada.
Yes.
The other thing is that the method of destruction. For example, I say I will erase, like I will delete the files and I will not keep it in any external hard drive, things like that.
Sorry, just give me a moment. Yeah, I'm sorry. My children are making a lot of noise in the other room. I was not really able to understand your questions, Fayaz. Can you please again?
Yeah, the question about data, this like how would the data be destroyed?
Mm-hmm.
And also like the time you already mentioned that it should be like at least for 3 years, it should be stored for 3 years. The other
Minimum
question
3 years
is
because
that,
yeah, if you're thinking to go ahead with a publication in a good journal, that at least takes 2 years, right? By the time you'll complete it is another 1 year. So 3 years is the minimum that I would say, and 5 years, yes, that's a good thing to take. But as when it comes to the data which is there in a soft format, you can delete it from your drive, right? In case there is no issue, you can store it somewhere in the cloud and keep it for some more time. When it comes to the physical format forms, you can shred it. There are shredder machines, right? Shred it and then destroy it. Don't just sell it in the, what do you call it? I'm not getting the right English word for it. Sorry for that. But there are
yeah,
shredders. You can shred it there. Yeah.
the other question is that you mentioned the number 30 to 35 to 40
Mm-hmm.
samples.
Mm-hmm.
So the other challenge we face during our research is because consent is based on mutual agreement, and then the participant has authority to withdraw at any time. So,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yes.
example, if I start my pilot study with 40 participants and in the end I end up with only 10 participants, what
Mm-hmm.
will the scenario in that case?
Typically, there is no problem with it. What happens is in your quantitative research, for example, if you are trying to use some kind of regression or structural equation modeling, having a data from 10 people is not going to help you understand whether you are able to see a relationship, right? I'll tell you my story. Um, I was doing my PhD and I created a questionnaire. I had adopted large parts of it from the literature. There were some innovations that I did over it, and I collected data from people, and initially it was looking fine, but then my supervisor later told to, apply an advanced technique for evaluation, for doing the structural equation modeling. And as I was doing it, I was not getting the model fit. Later on, I realized that the number of questions that I asked on every variable should have been at least three. So in most variables, in all the variables, rather, I'd asked 4 to 5 questions. But in one of the variables, I asked only 2 questions, because of which I was not able to drop any questions. I had to keep the two, and then I was facing issue with the goodness of fit of the models. Right. So from the perspective of analysis, why I told 30 is because anything above 30 is normally distributed, right? You can test your basic quantitative things. But for qualitative data, there is no such issue. Even in case of quantitative, there is not an issue, but then, you know, especially if it is quantitatively rigorous, I feel that it is a good idea to have a normally distributed sample.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I've got a question because my overall intended study
Mm-hmm.
is based on 200 students.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is why I want to do a mixed method, quant first and qualitative after.
Mm-hmm.
What should be my the pilot study size? Because I was thinking 10 to 15 students would suffice, given the fact that that I'm looking to get between 150 to 200 students in total.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be a good ballpark figure of 10 to 15 just for a pilot study? That's
What
question one.
yeah. Hmm.
And question two is, do I have to, and I think you said this earlier, but I just want to double check. Do I have to do a pilot on both the quant and the qualitative, or just the quantitative would be enough?
The right answer for the second question is that you should do both.
Okay.
Right? Um, However, many a times it's not possible. At least do
Mm.
it for quantitative study, because the iterations in qualitative can be done simultaneously also.
Yeah.
Right? Um, when it comes to your first question, the ideal sample or ideal pilot sample would also depend on your, what is the methodology that you are going to adopt. Even if it is quantitative and you are going to collect data from 100 people or 150 people, 15 is not a bad number. But in case you are using advanced regression techniques, because you are trying to understand dependencies there, then I
Mm.
think 30 is a good number. But if it is descriptive in nature, where you are going ahead and just describing the data, we can do that with 15 as well, no problem.
Um, for quantitative, what the data analysis that I'm using is
Mm,
just I mean, I've got it here, just a Pearson correlation. I'm just
mm,
looking to identify that
mm,
and just a simple linear regression for the
mhm.
quantitative. So it's not going into something really deep.
Yeah,
It's just to understand
right. So regression
yeah,
doesn't yield good results if the data size is less than 30.
yeah. For
Yeah,
the
that
so
should work.
even if it's for the pilot, it should be
No,
30.
it's okay if your overall sample is low, it's fine.
Mm, okay.
You can keep the number less, because otherwise you will not be able to go back to those people again,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But then you'll have
Yeah.
to be very, if these people are the ones which to whom you can go back again and get clarifications in case of any issue, you
Mm,
know, then probably it is easier to have a lower pilot sample also.
okay. And just a follow-up question on that is, because I'm looking at intrinsic motivation
Mm-hmm.
and their perception of autonomy and how that links to those things,
Mm-hmm.
um, you could argue that it's a snapshot in time. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
at that point in time when they do the particular study, so their
Mm-hmm.
motivation level might change at different times of the year. Okay, at the end of the year, it might be different to the beginning of the year. So,
Mm-hmm.
although in the pilot study, you're not supposed to go back to those samples, if that pilot study is going to be could I theoretically go back and do those same students again? Because of this particular point I've made, that whatever is their perception, a perception can change throughout the year. So, or would it just be better just to leave them out if they've, as
You
I
can
just
consider that as a limitation. I would suggest that would be better, right?
Mm,
Um, because you know, then they might ask you that why didn't you choose to do a longitudinal study?
mm,
Right? That might take more time. But
okay.
again, as I told you, you can consider that as a limitation and or try to put in a factor which takes care of the limitation.
Okay, okay, I understand. Okay, so to summarize, 10 to 15 for the pilot in this case, because the overall size is small, would be
Mhm.
sufficient for a pilot study.
Yes.
Okay,
But
all right.
in case a research guide has been given to you, some kind of a supervisor or chair, it's best that you take their feedback, okay, on this
Okay.
because they will go through your proposal properly first.
Okay, no, not yet. So when is that due to happen anyway?
That I have no idea because I do not really take care of the administrative aspects. Uh,
Okay, all
this
right.
is something which other students have also asked me, but I am more of a freelance person who is working for as a freelancer for upgrad and
Okay, okay, all right. Thank you. Thanks.
I'll
Thanks,
just
Fayaz.
share, no worries. I'll share the presentation as asked by Fayaz. Just give me a moment. I'm putting it on my drive. So, and this is not my presentation. It was given to me by the university, so don't judge me on the basis of it, okay? Yeah. Can you please check if you're able to download from here?
Yep.
All right, good. And the way I will be traveling to the Himalayas tomorrow and will be a part of some action research there in the villages. There are around 50 villages that are being covered by that organization, and we will have an understanding of how social innovation works there. So it's not as cold as the region where Fayaz stays. It's much less cold where I'm going, but yeah, I'm excited. I can understand Fayaz's excitement there. Great. Any questions, queries? Lena has been very silent. These are your children, Lena, in your picture?
Yes, doctor. I have twins and one big daughter.
Oh, your
Actually,
mom is
I'm
in.
preparing now iftar. I'm in Dubai, so like 20 minutes we will
Mm-hmm.
break our fasting. So that's
Okay.
why I'm listening though. I'm listening.
No
This is
worries.
like
I'll not disturb you. Hello.
no worries at all. Thank you. It was very beneficial, honestly, your presentation and all other questions as well that were asked, like were on point in the
Thank you.
like
Thank you.
still the ongoing question will be when is this due because it takes part of our you know time as well and
Mhm.
would appreciate to know as soon as possible, especially that now like in Dubai we're not going to schools, we had to move forward our spring break, so I
Mhm.
need to project a little bit and see when can I see people and interview them. So this is my concern.
Don't worry. You please take care. I
Thank you so much.
understand that in the fasting season, all this
Yeah,
global tension is something which
yeah.
is causing a lot of trouble to common people, but hope you are safe and your family is safe there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, Fayaz.
Yeah, in terms of data collection, we have open source of data
Mm-hmm.
collection
Mm-hmm.
that is already approved by the Government of Canada and the local territorial bodies to
Mm-hmm.
do the research. That is
Yeah.
one source of data. So I have already collected data from there. For
Mm-hmm.
example, how many household people are living in those areas,
Mm-hmm.
how many of them are school-going children, how
Mm-hmm.
many of them are educated in conventional school,
Mm-hmm.
and how many of them are educated. We call it land-based education. They don't go to the actual schools, but
Mm-hmm.
they are taught by their elders. For example, how to hunt, how to live, because in remote communities there's a combination of land-based learning plus the conventional learning. So I have collected the open source data already with the questionnaires. That is one part of my study. It also covers the both qualitative and quantitative. Number two, the second part I'm doing is to actually go into the conventional schools
Mm-hmm.
and to collect the data. For that, I need an ethical review.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think if it would be a good combination? So or I can just rely on the open source data and then so it's the easier part. Like I've already got that data. There is no
Mm-hmm.
ethical restriction on that, and there's no you can say requirement because it's already allowed by the government and the respective authorities.
Mm-hmm.
Stakeholders are okay with that.
So try to at least complete that part because otherwise, you will not be going again and again for data collection, right? So if it is available freely, that should, secondary data as such, which is there in the public domain, there are no ethical concerns as such. You can just see how it is fitting into your own research design as a pilot. So, for example, there is a student of mine who is doing, her research on ESG, and the entire research is secondary, quantitative. So I just told her that, okay, she'll be taking data, 400 data points. But I told her at least take the first 25 data points and see whether you are getting everything which is there. You are able to extract the entire information from different reports. So that's what I would say. From the government source, also see that whether the data which you are thinking would be necessary or is available through the government sources and whether it fits into your research design. If that goes on well, that's fine. You can do that. So, Ghazi, where are you joining from? Lena, I understood is from.
Uh, I'm from Bahrain. I'm in Bahrain at the moment.
Okay. How is the political scenario there?
Uh, I wish they would all stop. My son, he's 2 years old, and he keeps waking up because of the sounds, the bomb sounds.
God.
So it's not nice, the situation
Mm.
at the moment. Hoping for the best.
Mm. My brother was supposed to travel
Yeah.
today to Dubai, but he had to get all
Um,
his tickets cancelled, and they moved the meeting from Dubai to Bangalore, so he's not going.
yes, it's best not to be here at this moment in time.
Yes, I
I guess
myself
all of
is
us are.
yes, it's gonna be kind of thing because even I was traveling and I had to stay for 3 days before I could get my flight to connecting flight to home. Yes, so it is. I can imagine it's not easy. Just hope
Yeah,
things
must
gets
have
better.
yeah, must have been very scary for the people who are back home, right? Because they keep worrying about you, whether you are safe or not. You feel that I'm able to take care of myself, but what about your children or your parents? So,
Yeah, exactly. But to be honest, I am inherently thankful
mm-hmm,
because although us in the Middle East, we're hearing the sirens, there's bombs going off, we're
mm-hmm,
still not really in a war zone per se,
mm-hmm,
where you wake up and your entire building's blown to bits or something like that. So
yeah,
I'm still thankful. You have to be grateful that you're not living that kind of life to that extreme, that you still have access to everything that you need. So I guess you have to try to find some sliver of positivity whenever you can.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
family is obviously worried. You hear stuff on the news, so they see the news and they're seeing these things happen. But
Hmm.
for the most part, I think everyone just wants this to be over. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Should get
for
over.
me, it's a mutual worry because my parents are in Lebanon
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh,
I'm here. So it's the ongoing calls. Are you okay? I'm fine. Are you okay? It's this
I can
mutual
understand. Yeah.
question. Yeah.
Fayaz, you want to say something?
Yeah, so I was teaching at King Fahd University. When I joined them, they were ranked like 200, but now they are number 67 in top universities
Mm-hmm.
worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to live just beside US consulate. So I was
Mm-hmm.
in between the Saudi Aramco headquarters
Mm-hmm.
and the US consulate. And
Okay.
just beside my apartment, there was a nuclear power plant. So now they have issued a evacuation notice to all of
Mm-hmm.
the residents there. So I was there from 2016 to 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel lucky that I'm away from that region. But at the
Okay.
same time, I'm not happy with the war going on for no reason. The politics is very, like you can say, very complex issue. So I don't want to comment on that. But it's
Mm-hmm.
still the common people are on the losing side.
Absolutely. Last time there was some tension going on between India and Pakistan, and my brother was staying near the border. There's a place called Jaisalmer in Rajasthan in India. It was the west. And he also has a 3-year-old boy, and the children were traumatized because of the bombing and the scare and my sister-in-law is somebody who works for the Indian Air Force, so she had to be on duty, and my brother was taking care of the little boy. And somehow they managed a week, which was scary, and we were feeling helpless, right? So I can totally understand, but be strong, all of you, and it's a pious month of Ramadan, so I'm sure things will be fine very soon. Take care of yourself. So, I think there are no more questions. So, can we go ahead? I think there is a poll which you can answer. Um,
Is it the link on the?
yeah, there is a link. There is an end session poll. And Shweta, could you see this?
I can't see this. Maybe because I'm using my phone and I'm not able to see. Give me a
Okay.
minute.
It says that 2 people have participated, so the rest can.
Mm, Sorry, via phone, it's not showing me the option for me to.
No
Yeah,
problem, no worries. Yeah.
yeah. Because I'm still on my way back. As I'm returning, I'm sorry, on my way back to home.
No, 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 no worries. It's okay. All right then. So we'll call it a day,
Yeah.
right?
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Enjoy whatever the Sunday
Okay.
is left with you. I need to pack
Yes.
up and travel tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
All
I'm
right.
happy I'm back home. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, safe travels and
Thank
Thank you,
you.
doctor.
to everyone.
Thank you. And I hope we'll meet after Eid. So in advance, Eid wishes for Ramadan for all of you. Take care.
Thank you.